My name is Blanka Amezkua. I'm an artist living in South Bronx. I am originally from Mexico City, and I am trained as a painter. My background is a little bit, I wouldn't say complex, it's just I've moved around a little bit. So I was born in Mexico. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I then moved to the Central Valley in Fresno. I went to school in California State University, Fresno, and I moved to New York in 2003. What brought me to the arts, in part, it was because I was terrible in math. And one of the things that I felt I could really expand and actually, I felt I was much more, I had a stronger leaning towards the humanities. So art, I felt it was something that that had more of a possibility of where I can really be who I really was and express the things that I wanted to express. As a child, you know, I began to draw. I believe I did a lot of things as a child, but to formally trained, it was mostly after high school. I took my first drawing class in high school, but it was really in college where I began to explore the possibilities of expanding my work through drawing, through painting, and mixed media. When I was going to school in the 90s, there was still this notion that New York was the capital of the art world. And even though I didn't come to New York right away, immediately after I graduated, I think it always stood in the back of my mind that was a place to go to if you wanted to pursue art as a profession, if you really wanted your work to move forward in the field. So I came to New York based on those notions. So I actually, after I graduated from Fresno State, I moved to San Francisco. And I lived in San Francisco for nearly 10 years. And that allowed me to get a feel of what I could do professionally. But I also felt that San Francisco felt a little small and insular. So moving to New York, I felt like a step that I needed to take if I wanted to see also not only my work to be more recognized, but also to see how the influence of being in the city among other artists, what that would generate within myself and also within the work that I would create, given those possibilities. It was very tough. I mean, I moved to New York and I didn't know anybody. So even just from the housing, from trying to understand where things were, physically, and it was difficult. It was really a challenge. I would say the first 5 years, I was really just trying to understand the movements of the city. The energy is a very energy coming from California. The demographics are also very diverse. So there were a lot of elements that I needed to consider that I had not considered while I was living in San Francisco. Although San Francisco is very diverse, but when you arrive in New York, the diversity is really magnified. You see the entire world in New York. Being able to go to museums and see the work of artists from all over the world and really see shows that travel all over the world and being exposed to just the everyday life in New York has definitely changed the way I see my work, how I do my work, and I really have expanded the language of my work based on the fact that I am in New York City. I feel that as an artist, part of our responsibility, and I really take this seriously, is to really witness the work of many other artists. Not only from, like I said, I'm trained as a painter, but to really understand the visual arts in general. And I think being in New York has offered me that possibility. Whether I'm at the Met, or if I go to the Whitney, or I go to Taller Boricua, or El Museo del Barrio, or I'm up in the Bronx Museum, the range of art that you're exposed to really, it has forced me to really have a more intimate dialogue with my own work and my own process, to question really the work that I want to continue doing and how I want to present it and what ideas I want to work with. I feel that it's that moment where you feel that you're in a place that just really feels like home. Like you move around and you come here and you're there, but then you say, wait a minute, no other place feels as complex as it is, because New York is not an easy place to be in, but it's a place where you feel that you really feel there's a completeness that you don't feel in any other place. So I would say it took me about 10 years to get to feel that. So like I said, I was formally trained as a painter, and I hadn't painted for almost 20 years because I was involved in doing other types of works, other mixed media work. Like I spent about 15 years doing embroidery or creating work using the embroidery techniques, working with the imagery of the women found in Mexican adult comic books. And I really wanted to investigate this possibility of the imagery of the female body within this context and remove it, and then transfer it to this very domestic and very female technique, and see how that language that is generated is completely different. It just no longer has that dehumanizing aspect that it has when it's inside the book. And what I've been doing in the last 4 years actually has been, I've been working with a lot of festive papers. I think these last 4 years have been very difficult for the world in general, but living in the United States have been very challenging for many, many reasons. And I've felt this need to create works. I've been doing a lot of collages, and they've all involved working with festive papers. And these collages have taken me to actually travel to Mexico to learn how to make the very traditional technique called papel picado, which is taking tissue paper and using chisels and hammer to create different imagery. And these papers are usually used to decorate celebrations like birthday parties or for Day of the Dead. They're very celebratory. So I really wanted to learn how to make this paper with a master artisan in Mexico. One thing is that, to really explore materials, like I feel that I'm a perfect example of that. I was trained as a painter, and I then have worked with various materials, but it's in that exploration and in that sort of understanding of what works for you, what really allows you to express the things that you want to express. And there's nothing more than actually putting your hands on the things that you're interested in to be able to communicate those ideas that you have and you want to express visually. But spending time with the materials and also speaking with other artists, it's really important to have that community of artists, friends that can engage, that you can engage with, and not only to discuss about your work, but the work of their work, and see how you can then be more clear. The more you spend looking and doing, that clarity will come naturally. But it's that commitment to the work that you do. So in 2008, we were experiencing a financial crisis in the U.S., and this was something that changed a lot of the dynamics within the city. Galleries were closing, some spaces survived, some others didn't. And I decided to open up my bedroom as an alternative artist space, where I invited artists to exhibit in my bedroom for 1 month. Artists were also invited to cook a meal and to give a workshop based on the work that they were exhibiting in my bedroom. So I've spent a lot of time with the artists because they were in my house for almost a month, just doing different activities. And it was a project that really was centered on community, on really understanding what was happening within the dynamics of the possibilities of an art space inside a home, and that changed the dynamics also of the home, also within my neighbors, because they knew that there was something happening in my bedroom, so they were also very curious to see what was going on. And the project was called the Bronx Bedroom Project, and it happened for 2 years. So from 2010 and 2016, I spent some time out of the country. I was in Athens, Greece. And when I came back, I came back to the same apartment, but this time I wanted to take my bedroom back. So I decided to create a different project where now everything happens in the living room instead of the bedroom, but it has the same spirit as the Bronx Bedroom Project. I feel that we are in very challenging times. it doesn't matter who you are, just as humans. If you're an artist, if you're any profession, but we have to be reminded that things change, and that if life teaches us anything is that we're always changing, and what seems very bad now is going to turn into something different tomorrow, and we hope that the situation that we have now will not be with us for too long, and to just, have that hope that we will definitely be in a better place tomorrow. Well, I hope that the future is Latinx, it's Black, it's brown, it's yellow, it's everyone. I believe that we've been so polarized in the last 4 years that I hope that we all have more visibility, but that we also come together and not be separate.